Welcome to Racing God's F1, unauthorized armchair experts, unsolicited views, and ludicrously expensive race cars. Let's dissect the latest news from the Formula One circus.
Tyler, may the racing gods be with you, my friend.
And also with you, Anthony. Woo!
It's good to see you, and it is exciting to almost be at the beginning of the season. I think we got a lot to talk about. You watched the O2 opening?
I did.
Crazy. On your recommendation, I did too. So we'll definitely talk a little bit about that. And we will go through the 10 teams, have a quick look at those, a bit of discussion of what we're expecting coming up this year. We will speak about the rookies or the new members of the teams. And we will have some fun. Looks like we got an exciting year coming up. Happy to have everybody who is listening right now, listen to the pod. Let's jump right in. O2, what were your thoughts? A little colorful, a little over the top?
A little over the top, I thought. It was, kind of like a big giant concert setting. A little bit ridiculous sometimes, I thought. Some teams went with a lot more show, and some more teams were just more like, okay, this is a sport, this is what we're about, and here's our car. Some of the intros for some of the cars were longer than the reveal of the car.
So I guess for the audience, we should just briefly explain what's going on here. There was on, was it Tuesday night in London, to an audience of 20,000 people at the O2 Arena in London, the grand reveal of the F1 liveries for all 10 teams. And the drivers came on stage with the principals. Each team, I think, had 7 minutes where they did whatever they want. Some had musicians, some had DJs that just went on way too long, in my mind. But it was very colorful, very vibrant. Congratulations to them. A little over the top. But I still watched every minute of it, and
So did I.
Excited to get into the season. Given in the interest of time, we'll probably just jump to some highlights here. Eager to get into digging into the rookies and whatnot. Some highlights from you, Tyler.
Well, I have a surprise for which car I think was the best looking.
Give it to me. Give it to me.
I think that the RB Honda was the best looking car. That white was just, it popped. With the other colors on it, it just looked awesome, and I can't wait to see it.
Does a white Red Bull looking car go faster than a blacky blue Red Bull car?
That would be sweet if it did.
I had the same feeling that it has was it kind of the yellow Red Bull drawn across the top of the livery, and it looked really good.
And I think the nose was yellow too, and it just had some blue accent pops here and there, and it just looked really sharp.
Yeah, and you're not the only one. I've heard some other pundits saying the same thing. I didn't mind the Alpine as well. They had some rich royal blues with a bit of pink. I thought that was good. McLaren looked the same. Let's talk about the Ferrari one.
Okay.
The white stripe.
The Ferrari was my second favorite looking one, and of course I'm more biased towards that anyway, but
of course.
That white splash on the back of it I thought looked, I don't know, something about the white this year is really getting my attention. It's different. You don't see a lot of white on these cars a lot anymore, and so maybe that's why I was drawn to it.
Pretty clear that HP is paying a lot of money to Ferrari this year.
Yes, they are. Yep.
They make sure that logo was exactly the same size as the Ferrari logo anytime it was shown, whether it was on the side of the car or on their jumpsuits, their racing suits. I mean, it's like, okay, we get the message. HP is paying a lot.
Well, and another thing about Ferrari, I mean, I'm excited about Lewis. For as many years as I rooted against him, it's still so strange for me to see him in a Ferrari suit, in a Ferrari car. It's like, is he just here for a visit? But no, he's here for real, and it's
extraordinary.
Exciting, but
Yeah,
it's
exciting for everybody in the F1 world.
yeah.
And obviously, 20,000 people at the O2 Arena on Tuesday night agreed with you.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's going to bring a lot more fans to Ferrari than they've ever had, just with the Lewis fans joining them as well now. And it's going to make them a huge team. They're going to make a lot of money, I'm sure, off of sales and jerseys and shirts and all that memorabilia, too.
So when Lewis came on stage, he said his word of choice was invigorated. And
Yes.
I get that sense. He truly does look like he is excited, revved up, fit, and ready to go. It is exciting. It's palpable, that energy that he had.
Well, it wouldn't be hard. It'd be hard to not be invigorated to join a new team, a team with such history and, championship pedigree that Ferrari has. You have to be invigorated to join that team. I mean, I couldn't probably think of another word myself.
Yeah, no doubt. So, all right, some highlights from my end. Look, enjoyed the whole show. Just good to see everybody there. Gabriel Bortoleto looked just so relaxed coming out there as a rookie. I
Yep.
can't imagine you just sign up to these teams and boom, you're put on a stage in front of 20,000 people with flashing lasers and lights and whatnot. Maybe some more things will come up as we go through these teams. But I say we just jump right in here and let's do a little review of what we've got going on. Put together some numbers here as to what the teams did in 2024 that I might throw out there as we go through the teams. Just some of the rankings. And I do want to mention that I got some of this information from a site called Formula One Stats, and it's spelled with the number 4 MULA, and it just was extraordinary for pulling up some facts when I was doing research for this episode. So I just want to shout out to those guys there. Maybe we'll put a link in our notes to Formula One Stats there. Starting right off, we're going to go from the top here. So recapping last year, phenomenal end to the season, right down to the last race as to the Constructors' Championship between Mercedes and Ferrari. McLaren, Mercedes, and Ferrari,
Yes.
just McLaren.
Yep.
McLaren held on. If we recall, Oscar Piastri spun out, Oscar Piastri being a McLaren driver at the start. This was down to how McLaren and Ferrari performed in this last race. And somehow McLaren holds on. Ferrari comes second and third. McLaren ends the year with 666 points to Ferrari's 652. Red Bull
point difference. Yep.
14-point difference, which had any one of the drivers spun out, it would have just changed it completely. Ferrari would have come home. No one would have been upset. It would have been an amazing finish, whether it was Ferrari or McLaren. Obviously, there'd be some disappointment either side, but what a season. So I'll start off with McLaren. We split these teams to have a little bit of discussion here. On top of that, I just wanted to note that McLaren finished the season with 6 wins to Ferrari's 5 wins. Red Bull at a distance third still had 9 wins, but as we know, Sergio Perez just was not performing.
Did not help. Yeah, it didn't really contribute to much of anything that they had.
Yeah, so 6 wins, 4 wins to Lando Norris, 2 wins to Oscar Piastri for McLaren, 21 podiums for them, 8 poles to Lando, no poles to Oscar Piastri, 7 fastest laps. Just going to throw that in there, Tyler. They also had the worst. I was going to say the worst jump. Actually, no, that's Mercedes. I put it in the wrong spot here. New drivers. There are no new drivers. The same team members as last year, so nothing really to discuss there. Oscar is moving into his 3rd year. This is a formidable pairing, particularly coming off winning the Constructors' title in 2024. Oscar must believe he can do it. Obviously, Lando believes he can do it. Could be some fireworks there. We had the fire rules came in towards the end of the season when they both looked like they had a chance of potentially winning the Drivers' Championship, which which Max Verstappen for Red Bull ended up taking earlier on. This had me looking into what these two had achieved before Formula One, because I figure we'll kind of do a little bit of that on some of the rookies here. These two definitely earned their place in Formula One. Norris, I mean, we all know this guy. Formula 4, 2015. He won the New Zealand Racing Series 2016. Euro Cup 2017. He won the European Formula 3. 20 out of 30 podiums and 9 wins. Second to George Russell in F2 in 2018. Which Alex Albon was third, by the way, and Nick de Vries was fourth. So extraordinary career leading up to F1. Oscar Piastri won his first championship, the 2009 Formula Renault in 2019. I'm sorry. He then went on to win the 2020 Formula 3 and the 2021 Formula 2. So back-to-back championships there, becoming only the 6th driver in history to win GP2 Formula 2 title in a rookie season. So say no more. We've got a lot to look forward to with these two drivers in 2025. I'll let you take the reins here for Ferrari, but very exciting stuff for McLaren to watch. We can only believe they're going to do very well this season, but they have got stiff competition.
Yep. And as far as Ferrari goes, I mean, you got the lineup of Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc. Leclerc has proven himself.
So Lewis is a rookie at Ferrari.
Yeah, he's the junior to Charles Leclerc in terms of being with the team longer. Yeah, but we all know what he brings. You know, with his championships and wins and his records that he's already built up. You know,
so a 7-time world champion, second driver for Ferrari.
Yeah, we'll see if that lasts. You know, as being the second driver. You know, Charles came up through the Ferrari ranks, so he is, you know, he is only known Ferrari. You know, obviously he started F1 with Sauber, Alfa Romeo Sauber, but that, you know, only lasted a year before he was promoted to a full-time seat in Ferrari. So,
guy's got some skills.
Yeah, and he's kind of the guy I'm rooting for. I mean, you know, I will cheer for either guy, whoever wins the races, but
Look, 5 wins last year, 3 to Charles that you're discussing. Charles Leclerc with 3 wins in Formula One in 2024 for Ferrari.
Carlos.
Two for Carlos. 22 podiums, 4 poles. Charles Leclerc having 3 poles, Carlos having 1, and 4 fastest laps, Tyler, just in case you needed a refresher.
Just in case we're checking who had more.
Unreal.
Yeah. I did read an article that, you know, Lewis said that this car, you know, it's obviously different than any Mercedes that he's ever driven, but he was impressed with it with his first drive. So hopefully that's a good sign for this year that he likes what he's already been given and he can win with it.
Yeah, look, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, we've got to put them up there as one of the strongest pairings. But again, there's a few strongest, you know, very strong pairings this year, which we'll go into. But I mean, watch this space for sure.
An interesting thing for this year is only 2 teams have not changed their drivers, McLaren and Aston Martin. Or not, McLaren. So everybody else has a different lineup. There's 8 teams with different drivers. So
wait, Lance Stroll is still driving for Aston Martin?
Believe it or not, yes, he's still there.
Shocker.
Yeah. I even think during that O2 show on Tuesday that I think I heard a few boos from the crowd when he was on stage. So yeah.
Oh, we'll talk about booing. They were ready to boo. They booed Christian Horner.
They booed the FIA.
FIA, I was going to say, yeah. I thought we were going to have. Can you imagine if Ben Salayan came out? I mean, the guys, not super popular right now.
No, he's not.
Yeah. So they spared us that treat, thankfully, because that could have been quite all.
They didn't name any stewards' names either. That might have potentially been booed as well. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I've just realized after suggesting or taking your suggestion that we go from the bottom up, I just went straight to the top down. So
Yeah, you
my
did.
apologies on
That's
that.
all
But
right.
I know,
Excitement. It's
yeah,
excitement.
I know we're short on time today, and we've got so much to talk about. So we just wanted to get this in. So racing through it. Anything else on Ferrari before we move to Red Bull?
No, I like the new car. I like the color. I like the way it looks, but looks don't don't necessarily result in race wins. But
Well, it finished extraordinarily strong. Probably finished in a way stronger than anybody
yeah,
last year. I know McLaren stole the last race, but man, if they
their second half of the season was pretty remarkable.
if they start off where they left off, wow, what a
Yeah,
battle it'll be
yeah.
between McLaren and Ferrari. Um, all right, so moving on to Red Bull, then, gosh, everybody knows a lot about it, but we'll just do some facts here. 9 wins, all of them max, of course, 18 podiums versus Ferrari's 22 podiums and McLaren's 21 podiums in 2024. 4 fastest laps. Got to throw that in there. Best jump of 2024 with Max jumping 16 places at Interlagos in Brazil to take the win from 17th. Throw that in there as a fact. They do have a new driver this year. I don't know if we call him a rookie. He's driven Liam Lawson, number 30 from New Zealand. He's driven, 6 or 7 races, I think, for VCARB, RB, whatever we're calling them. He's a
RB Honda
cash
V
up.
carb. Yep.
Yeah, the X-Tourer. So, again, did a little research because I'm just thinking it might be worth it for the pub to see where these people came from. A little bit impressed with his background as well. Not to say they all have these backgrounds, but 23 years old, 2 karting titles in New Zealand in 2014, 2015 single-seater debut in New Zealand, finishing second. 2016, he graduated to New Zealand F1600 Championship Series, where he dominated the proceedings. He claimed 14 of the 15 victories on offer to become the youngest champion in not just the series history, but the youngest ever Formula Ford champion in the world at that time. 2017, he moved up to the Australian F4 Championship with BRM, taking 5 wins to finish second in his rookie season. He went back to New Zealand, another F4 series, the ADAC Formula 4 Championship, claiming 3 wins and 3 pole positions and claiming his second consecutive F4 runner-up. 2018 New Zealand Toyota Racing Series, securing the title there, and then runner-up in the Euro Formula Open Championship. He then competed in the Asian F3 Championship finale and dominated the weekend, taking all wins, fastest lap, pole position. So quite extraordinary. Moved in 2019 to FIA F3. Things didn't go so well there. He was 11th. 2020, he was 5th. 2021, he moves to F2 and is 9th. And 2022 in F2, he was 3rd, moving as the reserve driver to Red Bull in 2023, where he took over from Daniel Ricciardo when Daniel Ricciardo broke his hand, the Dutch Grand Prix. And then took over again when they fired Daniel Ricciardo in Singapore or after Singapore in 2024. So kind of impressed with what he's got there. Max surely remains supreme in his abilities, but I don't think we need to be too worried about that. So be interested to see whether these two clash. He's definitely got a swagger about him, Liam Lawson.
I noticed that as well. Yep.
There could be some. He might need to be put in his place a little bit here. Who knows by Max? Hard to see him having the.
Could surpass Max, and
Absolutely.
Max could have a challenge on his hands. You never know.
This is true. Hard to see him having the following Checo had with Mexico's population of 129 million people versus New Zealand's population of 5.2 million. But
right.
Again, it remains to be seen as well. All right, so moving on to Mercedes. What are your thoughts?
Mercedes, well, as far as their car, I think it looks a lot like last year's car. I was kind of unimpressed with their
As did
livery.
Red Bulls, by the way. You're right.
Yeah, Red Bull as well. Actually, a few other teams also. But yeah, Mercedes has rookie Kimi Antonelli coming in. So I'm
Another
kind of
drummed up rookie with huge expectations.
yes, yep, yep. And I don't know. I'm kind of excited. I mean, he had his little trial there in Monza where he ended up crashing, but
Toto was quick to point out that he had the fastest lap prior to that, and that he was on a hot lap. We'll see if that matches the his abilities. But
yeah. But yeah, one of the 5 rookies here in the sport, and
and look, they finished strong last year too. Just I'll throw out those team summary
okay.
facts for these guys as well.
One thing I want to tell you
double
though, because I know you keep mentioning the fastest laps. I did hear that this year there will be no extra point for fastest lap.
Absolutely, and I was hoping that we would get to some rule changes.
Okay.
I don't know that we'll have time in this podcast, but that is definitely a big one that is worth mentioning. I kind of am going to miss it, but I know a lot of people are glad it's gone. But I think it added flavor personally. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I liked it, but in the big scope of things, I don't think it ever really influenced the championship. A couple of those years ago, more than a couple years ago, but when the championship was decided by a point, that it might have made a change. But in these recent years since they've introduced it, it hasn't really changed the outcome of any championship. So take it or leave it.
Right. Just quickly summarizing Mercedes' achievements last year, of course, they were 4th with 468 points behind Red Bull's 589. So there was a big gap there, but they did have moments of glory with 4 wins, 2 to George Russell and 2, of course, to Lewis Hamilton. Of course, we had that one where George won and was disqualified, and consequently went to Lewis. So, and
the big win for Lewis at the British Grand Prix, which I think meant more than anything to him. So, yeah,
that was one of the moments of the year for sure. Also, Mercedes 9 podiums, 4 poles, 4 fastest laps. So not a bad season for them as well. Kimi Antonelli and George Russell. How's that relationship going to play out?
I would think in the beginning it should be fine, but again, once one driver kind of takes the reins and starts controlling the garages, we'll see. Of course, the George Russell being the veteran team member now, I would think Antonelli's going to look up to him for some advice, but you never know how much the veteran's going to want to give because he wants to hold his number 1 position. So, Well, like I said, a lot of these teams with new drivers, there's going to be a lot of that going on that should be fun to watch this year to see how egos take over.
Yeah, if Kimi is the prodigy that they're drumming him up to be, it's going to be exciting to see what happens because George Russell
is a fiery Italian too, so yeah,
it's passion. But if he lives up to that, I mean, George Russell is no slouch, so it'll be interesting to see. Yeah. All right, moving on then. Aston Martin, 0 wins, 0 podiums. They did get 2 fastest laps for Fernando Alonso in Shanghai and at the Red Ring. Just throwing that in there. No new lineup, as you suggested before.
Other than Adrian Newey.
Oh, yes, we do have a note on that. But as to the drivers, we are sticking with Fernando Alonso and Lance Stroll, who, of course, is the son of Lawrence Stroll, the owner of Aston Martin. What's interesting was they came off a 2023 season with 8 podiums, including 6 in a row for Fernando Alonso, to 2024. That was just
fell off a cliff.
Yeah. As you mentioned, Tyler, Monday, March 3rd, 2025. You know why I'm mentioning that date for Aston Martin? Adrian Newey.
Yeah.
Adrian Newey stands as the most decorated individual in Formula One history having been involved in more than 200 race wins and a combined 26 drivers and constructors world championships with
It's
the likes of
amazing.
Williams, McLaren, and Red Bull. And he steps in officially to take the reins of, I guess, car designer, director of engineering. I don't even know what it is on Monday, March 5th. So I guess that's when his quote gardening leave
Yeah.
ends. How long can the relationship between owner Lawrence Stroll and Adrian Newey remain in good standing?
It depends on how well the drivers do in his car, I think. At some point, I would think Adrian Newey's going to say, especially if Alonso keeps outperforming Stroll,
Yeah. Can you?
like he's got the clout that he can say something and say, "Hey, you need to get a driver that can perform in my car because this guy he took a turn into a gravel trap in Brazil for crying out loud." I mean, come on.
Can I have you? Can I have you replay the audio for that for me? I can't. Can you press play on that audio? How did it go?
Yeah, right.
Oh man, oh man, I think
Yeah, see, yeah.
I think I peached.
I think I put it in the gravel. Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. So I mean, look, I'm impressed that Fernando Alonso and Lawrence Stroll, at least in their public image, have not gone head to head. I was always concerned that might be a tenuous relationship as well.
Yeah.
But other changes coming with Aston Martin would be 2026, moving to the Honda engine, getting a little ahead of ourselves there. So this could be a transitional year. I'd say probably a dud, but we'll see. They really only have one driver as well. So
Yeah.
that's
I
my
mean, even during
thoughts.
the O2 presentation, Alonso got twice as many cheers as Stroll got when they're presenting the drivers, and there was even a look on Stroll's face that he knows he doesn't belong. It's kind of sad. I
Interesting.
mean,
Interesting.
this is body language, and the only reason he's there is because his dad owns the team, and everybody knows it, including
Yeah.
him, I think. So, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on to Alpine. I think we scratched that as my initials. So, quick stats there. 2 podiums in 2024. They came 6th, of course. That's why we were onto them. 2 second and third in Interlagos. That was a pretty exciting time after going back to Monaco when Esteban Ocon, one of the Alpine drivers, drove into Pierre Gasly, the other Alpine driver. Really was all downhill from there, particularly for Esteban, who I think was essentially sacked eventually because of that
Yep.
moment. And then later in the season at Interlagos, they had this rather nice moment, I guess, where they get second and third on the podium, they kiss and make up, and the two of them talk about how they've been driving since they were kids. Jack Doohan is the new driver coming in, number 7, 22-year-old Australian.
You got to be excited about that. Yep.
Oh, absolutely. A little bit biased there. Replacing Esteban Ocon. What is interesting, though, is our favorite guy, Flavio Briatore, is keeping Jack on his toes by employing the popular Franco Colapinto as the reserve driver for Alpine after Franco did his stint for Williams last year when Logan Sargent was fired for Williams. Franco had a really incredible beginning. It sort of tapered up pretty quick, I would say, but he is a really popular guy. People feel he's got the chops, and so Flavio has made it known, from what I understand at Jack Doohan, that Franco's in the wings. There's even a rumor that maybe Jack Doohan only has a 6-month contract, or a contract for only half the season, kind of a let's see how he does scenario.
What I don't like about that is that Flavio's name is even mentioned. He does not belong in the sport after what happened in 2008.
He's a man of incredible integrity, Tyler. What are you talking about?
He's a man of incredible wealth, and that's about it. Yeah, other than that, I was not thrilled to hear his name back in Formula One, and I don't like it. I don't
Yeah.
like it.
I look.
But hey,
It's definitely flavorful, but it's kind of tasteless.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So,
And
yeah,
another
since
thing about Alpine is they've got that new team principal, Oliver Oakes. He's the second youngest team principal ever in F1, so he's bringing some young energy to that team as well. So that could be interesting this year for them.
yeah. And just backing up a little bit, Alpine, of course, is owned by a conglomerate of interesting celebrities, including Ryan Renault and some others, as well as the French auto manufacturer Renault. But definitely some changes. Renault is shutting down its F1 engine manufacturing facility pretty much this year, and Alpine has signed a deal to use Mercedes engines. Is it from 25 on or from 20? It's from 26 on. I believe it is. I have to check my facts on that, but that's interesting to see there. All right, so I think that covers Alpine. Let's move on to another Ferrari-powered team. Take it away for Haas.
Haas, they have Esteban Ocon and the new I don't know if you call him a rookie either, Oliver Bearman, who I was impressed with a lot last year. I got to talk with him very briefly at the U.S. Grand Prix in the paddock.
Yes, she did.
Smart, young, intelligent young man. A lot of potential, and I really like him. I like his personality. I like his energy.
It was a great debut for Ferrari he had last year.
Yes, yeah. Or, first race ever in the points. That was amazing.
Seventh, drove to seventh, right?
Yes. Yep.
Incredible, very memorable.
Yep. So as far as the Haas car and their reveal, car looks a lot like last year's car. Like all the other Haas's, the red, white, and black. For some reason, their white just doesn't pop as much for me as the other ones.
Yeah.
But their team principal that they got last year, Komatsu, he's already turned the team around big time, I think. Gunther Steiner, I liked him, but
Gunther Steiner being the popular Netflix star, and Haas principal up until the end of 2023.
Yep. But I like Komatsu. I think he's brought some new ideas and things, and he's got the team going in the right direction. What I was surprised to remember was that this is now their 10th season already. I mean, I remember when they were the new team in F1, and I can't believe it's been a decade now already. So,
a lot of money and effort. Incredible. 10 years.
Yeah, and they've got a new sponsor with Toyota Gazoo Racing. So that should bring them some more money as well to give them a boost to hopefully update their car and make some gains.
Some results that they deserve, for sure. The only American team on the grid, which is a big thing these days, given America now has 3 Formula One races on the calendar.
More races than any country, yep.
Yeah. Quick facts for last year. They came in 7th, 0 wins, 0 podiums. We did have 1 fastest lap for K-Bag in the last race of the year, if you remember. So that's the only statistical accolade that I think we can speak up for Haas.
Although I think Kevin Magnussen had some of his own accolades all season long. He was fun to watch.
Gosh. Quickly recap that. It's worth speaking to. It was extraordinary, wasn't it? Dodging cars, whatever. Bang him up.
The one
Kevin
that
for a while there.
Sticks out for me is Miami, where he seemed to be getting in a lot of tussles in that race. But he was fun to watch. Got a lot of points on his license, and he ended up getting suspended one race, didn't he?
He did. And only stepped in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy. All right. So, moving on to your favorite livery, RB Honda VCARB Toro Rosso AlphaTauri. What are you going to call him this year? The team.
I think I'll just call him RB Honda. It's
All
easier
right.
to roll off the tongue that way. You know, they're sticking with Yuki Sonoda, who I feel should have gotten the drive at Red Bull, but he's matured quite a bit in his years. I remember when he first started, he still is a hothead, but it was more noticeable. I think he's reined that in a little bit, and they've got a new rookie, Isack Hadjar, joining the team now. And they're sticking with Laurent McKees.
Second, Isack coming second right down to the last race in Formula 2 last year, part of the Red Bull Junior program. Yeah, very interesting. Look, I want to say on the Yuki Tsunoda thing, wholly in agreement with you there. I was just really interested to see that his demeanor at the O2 was really positive, really, they interviewed him and they asked him, he said, look, I'm looking forward to stepping up as the primary driver this year. Mm-hmm. And he was joking around saying, I'm going to be less fiery on the radio. He just seemed to have a genuine glow about him, which made me think one thing: they're paying him a crap ton of money to stay to stay at VCARB and just let Liam do his thing at Red Bull. Just speaking to the fact that Liam Lawson was promoted to Red Bull, and Yuki Tsunoda was not, and Yuki Tsunoda really being the senior member there, and in my mind, I think yours having proven that he probably should have been promoted. But again, I just really sensed he was really happy with where he was at. And I thought we could get a little sour Yuki after being almost scorned. So I think there's some money trading places there.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. But, I'll be... Like I said, if looks could win races, this car wins the championship. So,
good looking car. Yeah,
good looking car. I really hope they do well. I like their team principal, Laurent McKees, came from Ferrari. I remember him being at Ferrari. Rookie and Yuki. I'll be rooting for Yuki because I got to hold his steering wheel that one year in Austin.
Photographic evidence of it. Yes, absolutely. One of these days we'll post those photos on our link.
I became a fan of him that day. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That was exciting. Tyler and myself both getting an invitation into the garage for AlphaTauri at the time with Danny Ricciardo and Yuki there. Daniel Ricciardo walking behind me, my favorite driver, and me not even noticing. And Tyler waving at me like, dude, he's walking behind you. And I was oblivious. I did call out Aussie later on, and he responded. So
I was like a deer in the headlights that whole time during that walkthrough. It
was special. Very special. Yeah. Well, stats for them last year, they came 8th. One fastest lap for Daniel Ricciardo in Singapore right before his firing, if you remember.
That's right.
And that's it for VCARB. Williams, Mercedes, Atlassian Williams Mercedes now, software company out of Australia.
Okay.
I've actually
I didn't know
used
who
some
they
of
were.
their.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I've used some of their software. Trello is almost a plant management sort of system, but it's good stuff. They seem really excited by that partnership. Seems like a long-term one. I couldn't find anywhere as to how many years, but I think some good solid cash is trading hands there. Of course, the big news for Williams, driver-wise, Alex Albon stays a solid driver, but Carlos Sainz, coming from Ferrari to Williams, the number 55, one of the most liked guys, and also just one of the solid drivers, lands at Williams this year. So it'd be incredible to see if he can have a positive, almost engineering car improvement aspect on the team. They've undergone some major transformations under the guidance of James Vowles over the last few years.
One of my favorite team principals. I really like him.
Yeah, very well spoken.
Yep.
and it's interesting that they're moving with Atlassian after James Vowles said everything was done in spreadsheets when he arrived. And so
Right.
hopefully with this Atlassian deal, they get some real databases in place. So yeah, look, I think it is time though for Williams to start moving up the ranks rather than everybody just saying James Vowles is the best. Is the best. He is incredible at what he does. I think it's time for them to start showing some results from
Make
that.
some gains. They've got a race winner in Carlos Sainz now, who's 4-time race winner. So he knows how to win. He can bring that winning mentality, hopefully, to them. Vowles coming from Mercedes, he's a proven race winner as well. Not as a driver, but it's time for that team to turn around and get back to their winning ways.
Yeah. Well, that leaves Sauber, Ferrari, 10th last year. I don't have any stats for you, unfortunately. There was
there
nothing.
are none to give.
Nothing. They managed to get four points with Guan Yu Zhou. I can't remember when he got it, but that was pulling teeth to get those 4 points.
Yeah. They have an all-new lineup. Yeah, Gabriel Bortoleto, another rookie,
Yes.
F2 champ from last year.
2024 F2 champ, yeah. Seems like a nice
Nico
guy.
Hulkenberg, who I've always liked Nico Hulkenberg. I think he's a class act. He always kind of reminds me of Nick Heidfeld, who I also liked. Maybe it's just because they're both Germans. I don't know. New team principal, Mattia Binotto from the old Ferrari days.
Also a likable guy.
Yes. Yep. Kind of,
Yeah, look, I just had a moment where he was really kind to my son near the paddock a couple of years ago. Took the time to wind down his window as he was leaving and kind of wave, and it made my son's day. So
awesome.
That's
awesome.
Soft spot for Mattia ever since then. Look, Gabriel Bortoleto, he just looks so calm to me and smiley. I think he's going to be a really positive. Can have a positive contribution to the sport as well. Nico Hulkenberg, as you said, the super sub, there's no denying his abilities. So, exciting to see that. But he's one of the guys who's been around for a long time and has yet to have a podium, and wholly deserves one. Probably not going to happen with Kip Sauber this year, but I hope he can hang around long enough to.
Hey, you never know. You get a rainy race, and strategies, and anything can happen. I think we saw that this year. So, last year, I should say. So anything can happen. Look, Alpine double podium in Brazil with the rain. So, anything can happen. That's a great thing about this sport. So
takes you back to races like Pierre Gasly winning in Monza too a few years ago. And,
yes.
All right.
Or even I'll throw another one out there. Sebastian Vettel's first win at Monza as well. I think it was also a racing win. So, but that was with Red Bull, or not with Red Bull, but with Toro Rosso back then. So Anyway,
incredible.
I digress.
Well, it's going to be a great season. Looking forward to so many other things. We'll probably put our heads together and do another part on this in a couple of weeks, but wanted to just get through the teams and the O2. And, it should be a good one.
Sounds good.
All right. May the rest of God be with you, my friend.
And also with you.
All right.
All right.